Hello everyone and welcome back to Cricket Capital. I am Faisal Hasnain and today I'm going to continue my review of the significant milestones and events in the life of the International Cricket Council. This is part of my History of Cricket series. Okay, let's get started. So today we are going to cover the period between the year 2000 and 2008. And this is what I personally regard as the golden era of the ICC. Okay, let's get started. So why is this significant? Why do I call it the golden era? Because it was during these years that the finances of the ICC went to a completely different level. And what you see today in terms of the money in cricket and in the ICC, the foundations of all of that were laid down during that period. Professionalism was brought into the ICC for the very first time. It turned into a professional governing body from what was previously a consultative forum. It became a governing body from what it was previously effectively a members club. Centralization of events took place. This is huge, absolutely huge. And then, of course, there was amazing growth. And I should add that during this period, there was absolutely wonderful leadership of the game of cricket, of international cricket. So this, in my view, was the golden era of the ICC. In 2000, the ICC bundled its commercial and events right and sold it for $550 million. For 7 years to News Corporation, owned by Rupert Murdoch. This was a major commercial consolidation of the ICC's commercial and event programs. As part of this arrangement, the ICC from now on would run their own events, the Cricket World Cup, the Champions Trophy. Previously, the ICC would sell the rights for those events to the host countries, but now the ICC was going to run its own events and keep those rights. And it was the biggest commercial deal in cricket at that time. For that time, it was unbelievable. You know, the ICC was selling rights for the 1999 World Cup to England for £1.2 million. And suddenly you had a $550 million deals covering 19 events. It was unthinkable at that time. In 2000, Malcolm Gray was appointed the ICC president, and the next year, Malcolm Speed was appointed the ICC CEO. Malcolm Speed was previously the chief executive of Cricket Australia, and between the two of them, they laid the foundations of a glorious chapter of governance in the game of international cricket. In 2001, Malcolm Speed and Malcolm Gray set up a professional ICC management structure. For the very first time, you had a director of cricket, a chief financial officer, a head of legal, head of commercial, head of media, head of development, etc. In 2001, the ICC led the way in sports by forming the Anti-Corruption and Security Unit. This was formed as a response to the Hansie Cronje match-fixing affair. In 2001, the ICC introduced its first 5-year strategic plan, now that it was moving towards being a governing body. In 2001, the Future Tours program was introduced. Now, this was huge. Before this, countries could pick and choose who they wanted to play. There were certain countries that didn't play, others for years. The weaker countries never got a chance to play. Sri Lanka, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, they hardly played any cricket. Bangladesh had just come on board. The ICC introduced a Future Tours program, and it took semi-control of the scheduling of bilateral cricket, which meant that even the lower ranked countries would now get a chance to play higher ranked countries. Furthermore, significantly, with the FTP in place now, you had certainty of events, which meant that the countries could now sell their commercial rights, knowing what tours were going to take place both inwards and outwards. It was huge. And prior to This happening, as Malcolm Speed once told me, he said it was a jungle out there. But this brought a little sanity to the scheduling of bilateral international cricket. In 2001, the ICC undertook a professional rebranding, new logos, colors, a new look, and what you see today was actually laid down in 2001. And in 2001, the ICC opened its Monaco office, segregating the cricketing and commercial arms for tax reasons. The cricketing arm was at Lord's in London. That's where the chief executive sat. That's where the head of cricket was. And the commercial arm was in Monaco, and that's where the head of commercial, the chief financial officer, the head of events, etc. were based. I can actually talk a little bit more about that because it's an interesting topic. In 2002, as part of good governance, the ICC established the Audit Committee and appointed an internal auditor. In 2002, the ICC formed the Umpires and Referees Emirates Elite Panel, and it centralized the management of international match umpires and referees. This was again huge at the time. For the first time, you had a proper structure for umpires and referees, proper training programs, proper assessments, proper reviews of decisions. Each and every single decision was reviewed by a panel, by the ICC, and it was actually the pinnacle of umpiring, and it is still to be part of the Emirates ICC Emirates Elite Umpires Panel, and this was actually sponsored by Emirates Airlines. In 2003, the Test and ODI Championship tables were launched, and in the same year, the ICC partnered with UNAIDS as part of its CSR program. And in 2003, the ICC ran the 2003 World Cup in South Africa under its management for the very first time. It was the first fully managed Cricket World Cup. In 2004, the ICC introduced the ICC Awards, and the Sir Garfield Sobers Trophy was awarded to Rahul Dravid. Unfortunately, the awards has quietly almost disappeared, which is a real pity. By now, it should have been a glittering ceremony of international cricketing awards, but it has kind of just fallen to pieces. I think it's even online now or something like that. In 2004, the ICC purchased the Duckworth-Lewis method of deciding rain-affected matches, and in 2004, significantly, the ICC launched the Intercontinental Cup for the associates to give them a chance to play 4-day matches against other associate countries in order to prepare them for the longer game and eventually Test cricket. In 2004, there was a new tracking and reviewing methodology for reviewing illegal bowling actions that was introduced. And in 2005, the ICC headquarters moved to Dubai. The London and Monaco offices were closed, and this was absolutely huge. And it would be interesting for me to do a program on this because it is very, very interesting. There was a global request for proposals that were sent out. There were interested countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, of course, England, Monaco, Australia, and it would be a good topic. In 2005, the ICC merged with the International Women's Cricket Council. Effectively, it took them over, and this partly was because in order for the ICC to be included in the Olympics, they had to be in charge of both the men's and the women's game. The Olympics wants one governing body for the men's and the women's, and in order to be part of the Olympic movement, the ICC had to be in charge of the women's game. And it's not that easy. You can't just take something over. There was an entire process that took a very, very long time to implement. So just to give you an example, before the ICC can confirm to the Olympics that yes, we are now in charge of the women's game, apart from the merger with the IWCC, each of the ICC member countries have to govern the women's game, and that is not easy. Okay. In 2005, the ICC put together the Asian Tsunami charity match. I mentioned this because this was in response to the Asian tsunami at that time, which caused a lot of destruction. In 12 days, over Christmas and New Year, the ICC put together an Asia 11 versus the ICC World 11 at Melbourne, and the attendance was 70,000. A lot of money was raised for this humanitarian effort, and it was put together in 12 days. It was a fantastic effort by the ICC and by Cricket Australia to put this together. It's not easy to get the best players in the world to suddenly respond and play in 12 days and to put together the infrastructure for the match, the broadcast, the sponsorships, all of that. It was a wonderful effort. In 2005, the ICC launched the one and only time, the Johnny Walker Super Series, where Australia played an ICC World 11 in 3 ODIs and 1 Test match, all played by Australia. And really, the concept for this tournament was that every 2 years, the world's best team, in this case Australia, the champions team, in this case Australia, would play a team of champions, a World 11. So the champions team versus a team of champions every 2 years. This just happened once. It never took off, but it is, at that time, it was very significant. In 2005, the ICC introduced awards for the teams finishing first on the ICC rankings on 1st of April, the Test and the ODI rankings. And in 2005, the ICC began serious work on inclusion in the Olympics. So what you see now, LA 28, cricket's there after a gap of almost 100 years, right? 120 odd years. The fact is that work on this began in early 2000s, and that laid the platform for cricket in the Olympics today. Okay, in 2006, the ICC adopted the WADA compliant anti-doping code. Now, again, this is an Olympic requirement. In order to be part of the Olympic movement, you have to, as a sport, comply with the WADA regulations. And again, it's not simply a case of just signing and saying we comply. No, every member country of the ICC has to be a signatory to the WADA code before the ICC can confirm to the IOC that we comply. So it's a process that takes a long time. And in this particular case, as in the women's cricket, there was opposition from local associations. In 2006, the ICC formulated and started its second 5-year strategic plan. And in 2007, ICC sold its commercial rights for a further 8 years for 1.5 billion. Now remember, the previous rights had been sold for 550 million. The ICC got almost 3 times as much for its second commercial cycle, which meant that from 2000 to 2007, the amount of work that had been done and the platforms that had been, the foundations that had been put in place were now gathering fruit. Okay, and in 2007, the ICC launched the first World T20 World Cup in South Africa, a new global format. Of course, T20 cricket is now the most popular format out there and probably with the most commercial value. But the foundations of that were laid down by this 2007 World Cup, where initially India and Pakistan didn't even want to play. Isn't that ironic? India and Pakistan were against this event. They said we are not going to play, and then there were circumstances and a lot of sort of doing and froing before they agreed to play. And guess what? They reached the finals. India versus Pakistan. It was a dream final. India won that in the last over. It was a fantastic outcome. Couldn't have hoped for anything better than that. And I'm going to do a separate a video on this because it's very interesting. From refusing to play, sending a second string team, and then winning the tournament. And then that laid the foundations of what T20 cricket and IPL and PSL and the Big Bash, this was the foundation. Okay. In 2007, a significant moment which escaped probably almost everyone, Peru became the ICC's 100th member. And in 2008, there was, because of this new commercial rights deal that was done, brought in a lot of money. There was a significant increase in the ICC's development program funding, where the ICC allocated 6% of its revenues towards development. And in 2008, Malcolm Speed left the ICC, and with his departure ended what I consider to be the golden era in the ICC's history, in fact, in the history of world cricket. Now, you can go back and see all this progress that has been made in a matter of 8 years. It was phenomenal, the amount of progress and foundations that were laid for what cricket is today. This is Faisal Hasnain on Cricket Capital. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.